It's a football-filled Monday, a full recap of a busy weekend of college football that included an NDSU shutout win and a strong performance by UND. Also, Fargo North is in the win column. A lot to get to. Hot Mic starts right now.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. I was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Monday morning. Welcome to this Labor Day and Overreaction Monday. Good to be back. This September 1st edition of Hot Mic on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV in Sioux Falls, KNBN in Rapid City. Hello, everybody in South Dakota. Also streaming on Inforum.com. Sam Getzinger back in the big chair today. Dom Izzo, we're giving him an extra day off after a busy week of college football. Of course, it is Labor Day. If you're enjoying the day off today, congratulations, first of all, and hopefully you enjoy your Monday. Hopefully it turns out to be a good day weather-wise. We still have our star-studded cast today, so don't worry about that. Sam Herder will join us this morning. Jeff Kolpack will join us this morning. Recap what we saw with North Dakota State's win. We'll get to UND as well. Really impressive performance from them. Busy weekend for not just FCS football. FBS football was firing off on all cylinders as well. So a lot to get to with those two when they come in at their usual time slots later on this morning. Of course, high school football is back in the full swing as well. We're not going to neglect them. A couple of great performances over the weekend that we'll touch on as well. Excited to have on Brent Miller from Fargo North, chat about his team later on this morning, talk about their win against Mandan. Successful start to the season after a year that did not go so hot last season. So we'll hear from him coming up at 10:35 to help wrap up our show today. As I mentioned, it is an Overreaction Monday. It's good to be back in the chair. It's good to be back in the North. We spent the weekend in Charleston, South Carolina for North Dakota State's Week 1 game against the Citadel. I will say we got there. Beautiful area. Fun trip to be on. I had never been to South Carolina. I think a majority of our crew has never been to South Carolina as well. I learned where Charleston was while we were there, so that was a big win on my end. I'll give props to that. We were by the water. If you remember from last 2 weeks ago, I wasn't sure if Charleston was by the water. We were, saw the ocean. That was pretty neat. So it was a good trip. I will say I didn't get to see as much as the town and the campus as I may not have, or as I may have wanted to. Eric says we got to bring up some stories, and we didn't see a lot, but we did quite a bit. Eric and I feasted on surf and turf while we were there. We also feasted on Waffle House, which I had never been to a Waffle House before. I think our mistake was that we went to Waffle House directly after we had a 4-course meal. Eric, how was your trip to Charleston? I know you wanted to bring up some stuff here this Monday morning.
It was pretty good, getting to hang out with you, Dom, Stacy. We're all just sitting there laughing at the Waffle House because we looked up online and it said they had pie at Waffle House. They did not have pie.
They did not have pie.
That was kind of disappointing, but the pancake, the best one was when Kyle Emanuel asked if they have dessert there, and the lady said, "We serve waffles here."
That was... It was we were going there. I brought up the fact that Waffle House had shakes. What do I know? I'd never been to a Waffle House before. And the delivery of the waitress to make Kyle look like an idiot was just fantastic. Asking if they had any desserts. No, this is a Waffle House. All right, so we got chocolate chip waffles. So we stuffed our faces with that. We had to sit on full stomachs throughout the night, and then we got into the game. And what a game, what an environment it was at Johnson Haygood Stadium. My one gripe about South Carolina, and there's nothing they could have done about it, was the weather. It was a wet, rainy start to the game. I was down there. I was drenched. The guys were drenched as well. That played an impact into the start of the game. Eric, let's roll some of the tape from Saturday and North Dakota State's win against the Citadel. And I will say the pomp and circumstance that the Citadel put together at the beginning of the game was just fantastic. The cannons were firing off. The cadets were marching out onto the field, a ton of them out there. That was super cool at the beginning. Then they went into the stands, provided a great atmosphere for the start of this one. Let's pick up the action here. I neglected the first quarter. It was wet. It was rainy, but we moved to the second, and Cole Payton started to do what Cole Payton does best. Using his legs, 27-yard run in the second. That would set up the first touchdown of the season. A 2-yard rushing score for Barika Penna, his first of two his first of two today. So the Bison lead 10-0. Later in the second, this was the play of the game. Cole Payton connecting with Rajah Nelson on the deep ball, 34-yard touchdown, diving over the shoulder. You can see me right on the edge of the end zone there, mouthing the words, wow, unreal. Great work by our camera crew, by the way. Fantastic. North Dakota State 17-0 at the half. Start the third, fumble on the toss. Donovan Woolen not able to pick it up. Logan Kopp scoops it, gets it all the way down to the 1. The wet factor still playing a condition in the third. That would set up this fantastic run by Cole Payton. Rush of the game here. Play's not there. Receiver's not open. I'm going to take off. And then the hurdle. Down to the 1-yard line. Cole Payton with an impressive run. He was doing that all game. When a play wasn't there, he would take off. Now, Coach Polisic said this after the game. We may not see Cole hurdle another guy throughout the season, and I totally understand that. We'll get into that more later. DJ Scott with his first career rushing touchdown in a Bison uniform to follow. 31-0 at this point. Nathan Hayes in the ball game. 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. He connects with Isaiah St. Romain for his first Bison score, first career touchdown in a North Dakota State uniform. That one from 15 yards out. Final score 38-0. North Dakota State, a phenomenal win over the Citadel. The game went just about how everyone was expecting. Maybe thought a little bit more was going to come out of the Citadel offense with the way their scheme plays out, modified option, if you will. Don't throw the ball much, but they can run the ball very well. And North Dakota State's defense, which we'll touch on more later in the show as well, just phenomenal. Shut them out. First shutout in a couple of years for the Bison, 38-0. What a performance for Cole Payton as well. 11 of 17 through the air, 192 yards and a touchdown. Oh, by the by, went on to lead the team in rushing, 11 attempts with 101 yards and a long of 27 that you saw. Vintage Cole Payton at times, and then he really showed off his arm. And I will say, the weather played a factor in that first quarter. People look at the 6 incompletions there for Cole Payton. A lot of them coming in the first quarter. That ball was wet, and head coach Tim Polisic alluded to it. There was some lapse in communication on getting a dry ball out there, but it was the same for both teams. Nobody could really get a handle on the ball. It was hard for Cole to throw. It was hard for the receivers to catch. So it was primarily a run game there. So if you were watching the game and thinking, oh, man, this isn't going well. In the first quarter, I should say, this isn't going well. Well, once the conditions settled down, NDSU was rolling. They were really, really impressive to watch. Once the rain stopped, dry footballs were out there. Cole was slinging it around the field, really showed off his arm. And again, his running game was phenomenal. Barika Penna, also solid game. We didn't see the 20 carries that we thought we were going to see from him. He had 12 attempts, 79 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Pretty solid game from Barika. DJ Scott as well. A very good number 2 on North Dakota State's offense. He impressed in the opening game. 10 carries, 43 yards, had a touchdown in there as well. The receivers didn't get a ton of yards, if you will. Rajah Nelson led the way, 2 receptions, 60 yards, had that 34-yard touchdown. Bryce Lance led the team in receptions with 4. He had 34 yards. Again, it was wet. The run game was going to dominate the game for both sides. But everybody looked solid. 2 thumbs up, from my opinion, on the performance for North Dakota State, picking up the win at the Citadel. It was dominant. It was good. The environment was cool. The post game as well, with the Citadel retiring the flag, singing the school song. North Dakota State stayed on the field for that. It was a neat deal. Neat deal to be down there in Charleston, and just to see what the Citadel is all about. And we'll have Jeff in later on in the show to kind of give his recap of what he thought to the trip to South Carolina. Now, it's a quick turnaround in the sense that there's another long road trip on the docket here for the Bison. Tennessee State coming up this weekend. That game is in Nashville. I know there's quite a few people, Kyle Emanuel being one of them, who's making the week-long stay from Charleston and then essentially migrating over to Nashville later on in the week. I know there's a lot of people doing that. The Bison will have to get ready for another long road trip. Hopefully the weather's a little bit better as well. Tennessee State, will get a full breakdown on them in just a little bit with Sam Herder and Jeff Kolpack. And, of course, Bison video blog coming up later on today. The Tigers, they picked up a win in their first week against North Carolina A&T. So we'll see. We'll see what they can do in this second week of the season. Eric, what do you got for us, Eric?
So we know you're a geography challenge.
I'm a geography nerd.
So whatever you say. So I pulled up a map.
Did you?
Can you tell us where Nashville is?
Well, it's in Tennessee.
Can you tell us where in Tennessee Nashville is?
Let me get my pointer so you see the mouse moving there. Now I'm assuming it's somewhere in this region. Is that right?
You can zoom in. No.
Oh, this is great TV.
This is awesome TV.
I have no idea. I don't even know where I am right now. It's on the east side, or the west side, isn't it?
I see it on the screen.
Where?
Go to the right. There you go.
Oh, there it is. Okay, so there's Nashville.
It's more like in the middle.
Oh, it's in the middle. Okay. All right. Well, then never mind.
You went to Johnson City last year.
Yeah.
Don't you know?
And I thought that was on the west side of the state. All right, geography's done for today. Moving on. We got more football to talk about, Eric. All right, we'll get a full breakdown of where Nashville is later on in the week. Okay, so great game for North Dakota State, 38-0 win against Citadel. Early start time to that game, so we were able to get back on the team plane, hustle back to Fargo. Landed about 7:30, 8 o'clock, and once the plane started to touch down, that's when everybody started to get service back on their phones, looking at the scores that we missed while we were on the plane. And then, at least in our area of the plane, you can kind of get a collective reaction of, oh, wait a minute, what's going on in Manhattan, Kansas? North Dakota is hanging tight with the 17th ranked team in the country, Kansas State. And then I rushed home to catch the second half of this game, and what a game it was for UND. We pick it up in the first, ball on the 1-yard line, fumble at the goal line, and the new starting quarterback, Jerry Kaminsky, able to fall on it to give the Fighting Hawks a lead in the first quarter. 7-3 lead for the Hawks. But Avery Johnson and Kansas State, they weren't going to go down easily against UND. No doubt about that one. Big ball here, 44-yard bomb to Chase Brown, 10-7 lead. Later in the second, Javance Johnson in the game because Kaminsky lost his helmet. Dang. Brings the ball in at the 1, and then Jerry Kaminsky pushes the pile for a goal line touchdown. 14-10, North Dakota lead in the second quarter. All right, they're hanging around. 17-14 at this point. Sawyer Seidel was phenomenal in this game. 16-yard run, showing off the speed and the great offensive line play. UND would take a 21-17 lead in the half, and then when they came out in the third, this is when it started to be like, okay, North Dakota, they poked the bear on Kansas State. They're waking up. 2 touchdowns in the quarter for Kansas State, 31-21. But Kaminsky with a dime in the fourth saying, we're not done yet. A great ball to Corey Ty, 22 yards out to make it a one-score game. Then Sawyer Seidel again. It's not a replay. He does it from 19 yards out this time, and UND takes the lead with 4 minutes left. Avery Johnson and the Wildcats cruising in the 2-minute drill. This was a monster scramble. Set up the go-ahead touchdown. Under 40 seconds left. UND now trailing 38-35 has to travel down the field to try to get into field goal range. Kaminsky with an open receiver puts it right on the money, but it's incomplete. And that's the end of the ball game. UND falls in a heartbreaker, 38-35. Kansas State just barely survives. But what a performance from the Fighting Hawks in week 1 of their season. Taking one of the top teams in FBS football all the way to the wire. Really, really impressive stuff there. Jerry Kaminsky in his first start, 23 completions, 38 attempts, 231 yards and a touchdown. He was slinging the ball around. Sawyer Seidel led the team in rushing, 62 yards. He had those 2 touchdowns as well. Jerry Kaminsky with 2 rushing touchdowns. What a game for the Fighting Hawks. After the game, the reaction from both sides, from UND and from Chris Kleiman from Kansas State.
This coach right here, he instills that belief in us, and we feel like we can go beat anybody, you know. Coach he's a tremendous coach. He's here for us. He gives us a great game plan, and, you know, and the speech he gave us before we went out there, he just basically said, like, we ain't here to just be here. Like, we here to go win a football game. When you got a guy like that truly believes in you, it instills belief in yourself.
Nobody knows how good teams are, how much they improve through new players, improved staffs, new whatever it may be. And I knew we were playing a good football team because they're from the Dakotas. Those 4 Dakota schools are really well coached. They're physical. They're going to play their tails off. And if you feel like you got a chance, if they feel like they got a chance to beat you, they're going to grind it all the way out.
Impressive performance. Now, I think there's question marks for Chris Kleiman and his squad. Of course, Kleiman, the former Bison head football coach back in the day, lost to Iowa State in Dublin. I will give them the benefit of the doubt in this game against UND. To go overseas and then to come back on a short week, that's not easy to do against a UND team that looks like they're going to be pretty impressive this year. And I will be the first to say it. I was down, and some of the other guys that we'll have on the show later this morning were down at Media Days, Conference Media Days in Sioux Falls a couple of months ago, and we all heard the same things. The UND coach, Eric Schmidt, and the players talking about their high expectations for the season. And in my mind, okay, maybe the expectations are a little too high here. I scoffed at them a little bit, and now I'm walking it back because they looked really good. Jerry Kaminsky looked really good in his first start. That brings us into our poll question for today, an Overreaction Monday poll question. We got it up on X right now. Eric, why don't you throw it up on the screen? Thoughts on UND's performance against Kansas State? Tell me what you think. Is UND a title contender after watching just one game this season? Or do you think it was just one good game? Just one. I'm not sure yet to what to think. I'm kind of leaning on that boat. And our final option is, will they finish above 500? They were below 500 last season. Looking at their upcoming schedule for UND, they got Portland State this weekend at the Alaris Center. I think we'll get a really good look at where this UND football team is at on September 13th when they travel to Montana. That's going to be an interesting gauge of, okay, UND is legit, or was it just one game? I think we'll get a better gauge on that. But our poll question's up there now if you want to take a look at that. Again, we'll touch on North Dakota State's win and UND's win coming up later on in the show. That leads us into our Northwestern Mutual guest lineup for today. Again, our usual star-studded cast is back with us. Sam Herder joins us at the bottom of the hour, talk about everything that's going on in FCS football. Jeff Kolpack joins us at 10 o'clock, recap our fun trip to Charleston, South Carolina. Also recap the game against the Citadel. We'll look ahead to Tennessee State and what does the new-look Tigers team have to offer. New coach, new quarterback, new running backs, new defense, new everything. Brand new outfit over there. We'll get a preview of what's to come this weekend. And also, Brent Miller will join us at 10:35. We'll chat some North Dakota high school football. Their season is officially underway after a tough year last year for the North Spartans. They open up week 1 in 2025 with a win. We'll get the breakdown of what the Spartans have to offer this season. So all that and a lot more to come on this Monday morning edition of Hot Mike. We'll step aside when we come back and look at the best of the weekend coming up next. We do it each and every Monday morning at this time. Time to take a look back at the best of the weekend. And we're going to keep with the football theme here on this Labor Day, recapping a busy week of college football. I was channel surfing last night, landed on WDAY Channel 6, and what did I find? I found Notre Dame and Miami going at it in a top 10 battle between those two programs. I wasn't expecting to see a lot of former Bison running back Marty Brown, but holy cow, what a game he had. Roll the tape on Marty Brown's performance from last night. Impressive stuff. He's a third-string running back in Miami's depth chart, but they went to him, and he was kind of the bell cow for a little bit there. 71 total yards in the game against Notre Dame on national television. First game at the FBS level. Oh, yes, and he picks up a touchdown in vintage Marty Brown fashion, getting to the goal line, offensive line helping push the pile, and he broke the plane. Congratulations to Marty Brown, former Walter Payton Award winner for North Dakota State a season ago, just carries over that momentum and proves that he could be a player for this Miami Hurricanes team. This could be pretty impressive for what we see from Marty Brown this season. I didn't think we'd see a ton of him. And now I'm thinking, after getting some run time here against Notre Dame, he could have a couple big games this year. He could have a pretty solid season. I think he set himself up to be in a pretty good spot for the rest of the year. He tied for the team lead in carries last night. 15 carries, 54 yards, and that touchdown you just saw. And like I mentioned, vintage Marty Brown, he fought for every single yard. It was impressive. Also had a couple of receptions, 2 for 17 yards. One of them to help end the first half that led to a touchdown to give Miami the lead going into the break. Impressive. I can speak for everybody here in North Dakota. Watching that game, it was a tip of the cap to Marty Brown. A round of applause. Great to see him off at the next level doing good things. There was plenty other guys that have made the decision to move from FCS to FBS that also got some run time in week 1. If we got some time later in the show, we'll break that down as well. I want to stick with football on our best of the weekend here for just a couple of more minutes. High school football going at it over the weekend. Of course, our crew is out in bunches across the state getting some video of some of the top games. Rewind the clock to our game of the week on Friday. Kindred taking on Devil's Lake. Kindred making the jump up to 2A. And what a performance. This game being played at Horace because Kindred's field is going through some issues, but it didn't matter. Dominant game for the Kindred Vikings coming off of a strong season last year. Brock Johnson's a player, folks. He just had the touchdown. He makes the tackle there, but not before Devil's Lake can get on the board. And how about this? Brooks Bacco, who's getting plenty of FBS attentions, Michigan being one of them. He finds the end zone, but it was all Brock Johnson on this night on Friday. This one from beyond 60 yards. Kindred would win their first 2A game against Devil's Lake 42-12. They're going to be a favorite moving on throughout the year, no doubt about that. Would not be surprised to see them in the Fargo Dome coming up at the end of the season. That leads us into another game as long as we're looking at Dakota Bowl champions over the years. Horace, who won the Dakota Bowl last year, they were in action. They moved up a classification. They're taking on Red River in a state title rematch from a year ago. Ty Garai getting Horace on the board first, 6-0. Red River, however, the defense showing up with an interception. They weren't able to get any points on that drive, but the Horace offense was just too much. They were really good last year, and they're really good this year as well. Chris Newfolds hauls it in for the touchdown. Horace would go on to win 34-7 in their first game officially as one of the big schools in North Dakota. So that's a look at some of the teams that were in the Dakota Bowl last season. West Fargo Cheyenne, they lost in week 1. They were upset by Bismarck Legacy. Also, Velva Drake Animus Garrison, who was the preseason number 1, they fell in a tight one over the weekend. Harvey Wells County getting the win. Shout out to everybody in Harvey Wells County. Good performance from them. 10-8 was the final score. So a couple of preseason number 1s going down in week 1 this week. Yeah, we're going to chat more high school football coming up later on in the show. Brent Miller from Fargo North will join us at 10:35, talk about their strong performance. Now let's take a break from football for just a second. Bison basketball, they were on the radar this weekend. Scrolling through social media accounts last night, and what did I find? Bison men's basketball and Dave Richmond picked up a big, and I mean this in the literal sense, a big commit for this upcoming class. Last night, Oliver Junker, a big man from Colorado, announced his commitment to North Dakota State. Oliver's from Mountain Vista High School, which is located in Highlands Ranch, Colorado. Now, you're looking at, or you saw some of the highlights there from his time at AAU with Team Elevation with the Flyers. 6'8", 225, big kid. Heading into his senior season of high school, I was digging around for some statistics from his high school days so far. He's played 53 varsity games. He's averaged 14 points per game in those 53 games through 2 seasons. Now, last season, as a junior, 15 points per game, 11 rebounds per game, and 3 blocks per game. Pretty impressive. Congratulations to Oliver Junker for committing to Bison basketball. Big hit there for Dave Richmond and his squad, who will join North Dakota State, not this season, but the next. All right, that's our best of the weekend. Full crew there. Congratulations to Marty Brown. Great performance. To the Horace Hawks, Kindred Vikings, and to Oliver Junker. There's so many to choose from over the weekend, but that's the list that we're going to roll with on this Monday. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, Sam Herder joins us. A lot to chat about in FCS football. And we'll also look ahead to this upcoming week, which is another loaded docket. That's coming up next on Hot Mic. Welcome back on this Monday morning. Labor Day edition of Hot Mic today on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV in Sioux Falls, KNBN in Rapid City, also streaming on Inform.com. Let's bring in the big guns here. Sam Herder joins us from Hero Sports Bet MGM, as he does each and every Monday, to recap what was a very, very busy week in FCS football. Sam, appreciate you for coming on this morning. I got to ask you, how many monitors did you have rolling this week? How many games were you watching at the same time?
I think the max amount was 6. You have a TV on the side, and then the bigger TV where you can, with ESPN Plus, you can split that 4 different ways on one TV, and then a computer to the side as well. So 6 games at once, but sometimes you find yourself getting locked in on, one game for 20 minutes because it's a close game in the fourth quarter, or you have a ranked, matchup where you're kind of more so locked in on that one than other ones, but you have other ones kind of playing in the background. But it's fun, it's hectic, but it's a good way to do quote unquote work, is just watch football, and, try to tweet out as much as the action as possible.
Not a bad gig at all. You were plugged in this weekend. I want to start with North Dakota State. Of course, they were in one of the first games on Saturday, taking on the Citadel. The game went about how everybody was expecting it to go. 38-0 win for North Dakota State. The first quarter was a little rough. The rain played a part in that. Once the rain went away, NDSU was rolling. What do you think of the Bison win against the Bulldogs?
Yeah, really impressive win. Like you said, I think it's kind of what a lot of us expected. I think I had NDSU winning 31-7, so a touchdown off on both sides of the ball there. And NDSU's defense, I came into this year thinking it had a chance to be better than last year, even though a lot of the tackling production was gone. But the Citadel was just not a good offense operationally, so I really didn't feel like the Bulldogs were going to get much success on NDSU. Then offensively for the Bison, I thought it'd be a bit of a slow start. I thought the Citadel could do some things to make it choppy for NDSU. I think it was more of the rain, like you said, in the first quarter to kind of make it look a little ugly. But once NDSU settled in and Cole Payton settled in and the weather was, got dry, I thought you saw a Bison offense that looked really good. Got a good push. Cole Payton had some nice touches, on some of his throws. That deep ball into the end zone was a beautiful ball. An underrated one was, I can't remember who he threw it to, but it was one of the opposite hash, the far sideline, throws, stuff like that, where you have enough arm strength to get it there, beat the cornerback. So I thought it was a great debut for Cole Payton and, just the offensive line as well.
You mentioned the defense for North Dakota State. They pitched the shutout. And yes, there's not much to take away from the Citadel after the first week. Really what I took away was they got a great punter, but besides that, nothing else was working. The defense was just phenomenal for NDSU. That's going to be a strong point for them throughout the season, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. As the season wears on, the depth on the defensive line, I think will be tested, and I think depth at linebacker we'll see, but I know the top three looks really good, very athletic. The secondary I thought played up and down last year, but if they carry over how the secondary played in the last two games, which I thought the secondary was phenomenal, and most of those guys are coming back, I think the secondary has a chance to be very good as well. Obviously, what the Citadel threw like 3 times,
yeah,
so the secondary wasn't tested pass coverage wise, right. And they'll get better tests. NDSU should roll through the non-conference, and so we might not know truly a whole lot about NDSU until conference play hits. But if they did what they were supposed to do against the Citadel, I expect they were going to do what they were supposed to do at Tennessee State, and SEMO, I believe, is coming to Fargo in a couple of weeks. That should be a pretty decisive win as well. I think NDSU should roll through the non-conference. Then once conference play hits, we'll really get a true sense of how good this Bison team is.
Right. South Dakota is the first conference game of the season coming up after a bye, after the non-conference schedule. That's homecoming for NDSU as well. I want to touch on NDSU's opponent for this upcoming week in just a little bit, but some other games that happened over the weekend. A big one that caught everybody's attention was North Dakota taking on Kansas State. What a performance by North Dakota. And I told the story at the beginning of the show. We were there at Media Day, and they were talking about their big expectations for the year. And I was one that kind of scoffed at it a little bit, and like, all right, let's slow the roll here a little bit. But then I watched this game, and man, they look pretty good. What do you take away from their near upset?
Yeah, it was as I know moral losses aren't really a thing, but you can still take, some sort of gauge from pushing a ranked FBS opponent. And UND, I thought, battled really, really well and had, it's going to be one of those games where they look back on they watch the film and they're genuinely going to feel like they should have won that game. There was multiple dropped interceptions. Even that last drive when UND was going down to potentially score or tie the game, they had a 4th down and Kaminsky threw a good ball near the sideline, and it was dropped. It was a tough catch, kind of toe dragging along the sideline and drop, but coaches will say if you get 2 hands on it, you should catch it. And had they done that, would have been a 1st down with I don't know how many seconds
like
left.
11,
at least
something like that. Yep.
Yeah, and field goal range and a chance to tie it. So UND certainly felt like they could have won that game, and it would have been the first FCS over ranked FBS win since 2021 when Montana beat Washington. So really impressed. I came into this year ranking UND. I just felt like there was a different energy, a different edge there. Certainly you see that on the recruiting trail. I think fairly you could question, well, maybe that impact wasn't going to hit this year, but maybe in 2-3 years. But I just felt like they had the offensive line and the running back room to give some teams a scare. And then Kaminsky, I thought looked really, really good at quarterback as well. Really poised, being on that stage for his first start.
Right. Jerry Kaminsky, definitely a strong performance. It was a grueling quarterback battle to figure out who that starter was going to be. He ended up being the guy, and he put on quite the show. So I'll be curious to see what UND does moving forward. Of course, Sam, it's an overreaction Monday, so I got to ask you about 2 games that did not go how people may may have thought they were going to go in USD and Iowa State and Montana State and Oregon. Obviously, you knew Iowa State and Oregon were going to have the advantage. We're likely going to win, but thought maybe it was going to be a little bit of a closer game for both of those guys. Do you take anything away from those two games to start the season, or is it way too early to put a verdict on USD and Montana State?
Yeah, you probably don't take a whole lot away. The Montana State-Oregon game actually kind of went how I expected it to. I mean, Oregon is just on a different level, and I didn't think that Montana State would be able to keep it close. But, I mean, Taco Dowler looked really good at wide receiver for the Bobcats. Their new starting quarterback, Justin Lamson, I thought was efficient with his passing. He put up good numbers. It'll be interesting. Montana State, I think, is going to deploy more passing this year. They're going to have a quick hitting passing game where it's going to be, high efficiency throws for the quarterback. You couple that with a power run game, and I think we'll see a little bit of a difference. Montana State offense, and Lamson at least showed he's probably a more accurate passer and can probably make different throws than a lot. So that is one takeaway. For USD Iowa State, that is one where I really didn't think USD was had a chance for an upset. I think they could keep it within 14, 17 points, and that one got away from them in a hurry. I thought there were some bright spots offensively for the Yotes. Defensively, I think a lot of work to do as well, whether that's just because Iowa State is that good or that's a sign of things to come. We'll see, obviously, but there are so many examples of FCS teams getting blown out by FBS opponents and then still going on to to make deep playoff runs. I mean, Montana State almost allowed 70 points a few years ago to Oregon State and still made the semifinals that year. I think James Madison, the year they won the national title, lost big time to North Carolina or something like that. So doesn't tell the whole story about South Dakota and Montana State, but you could take a little bit away from watching USD and Montana State and how they played.
Another game I wanted to touch on is one that I didn't get the chance to see, and that was South Dakota State, new look roster this year, taking on Sacramento State, who had a ton of hype coming into the season. NDSU picking up the win. What were your thoughts on that game in Brookings?
Yeah, I thought it was a 20-3 game, and so it was a 3-score game by South Dakota State. But I really thought it could have been a lot worse than that on the Sac State side of things. You have to give Sac State credit because I thought they did play much better defensively and gave South Dakota State and Chase Mason a hard time in the second half with some pressures and forcing some stops on third down. But there was probably, you could argue, 14 to 17 points that South Dakota State left on the board by its own doing, whether it was a couple of missed field goals or fumbling near the goal line or having to settle for 3 instead of 6. And so it felt like more of a 35-3 type of win for South Dakota State than a 20-3. And you can see that reflected with total yards and rushing yards and time of possession. It really was a dominating effort for South Dakota State, but still, a lot of work to do for the Jacks. I thought the offensive line got overwhelmed, a little bit there. Sac State pretty much decided if we just send 7, 6 or 7 every time on a passing play, maybe we can get off the field doing that, and they did so. And defensively for South Dakota State, I thought they looked great. I had a good feeling coming into this year that South Dakota State's front 7 was not going to take a step back, even though they have all new linebackers. Secondary was a bit more of a question mark for me for the Jacks, but I thought they played really well. Sac State was just couldn't do anything going, offensively. I mean, the only points they got was because of a muff punt by South Dakota State, and the highly hyped go offense looked real bad, and Jaden Rashada looked lost. It's kind of wild to think that he was viewed as $1 million quarterback coming out of high school. He did not look good at all. So I thought it was a really impressive win for South Dakota State. And, it's one of those things where you get a dominating win over a ranked opponent. Whether Sac State's going to be ranked, throughout this year, we'll see. We'll see how well this win ages. But it was a good win for South Dakota State. But at the same time, watching the film, I'm sure they're going to go, we didn't actually play that well. And so that's probably a double win for South Dakota State to win like that, but also be like, well, we have a lot of work to do if we want to get to where we want to go.
Exactly. A couple of minutes left here with our guy Sam Herder from Hero Sports and BetMGM. We're doing it every week now. Getting your thoughts on who is your team of the week. I'll let you take it away. Who are you picking as this week's FCS team of the week?
Yeah, I think Tarleton State is the team here. They were one of 2 FCS teams to get an FBS win. You could go with Austin Peay. I mean, they had a dominating win over Middle Tennessee State. But I think, Army was 9-2, 10-2 last year, something
Yeah.
like that. Middle Tennessee State has, certainly been struggling a little bit more. Now, Army, again, we'll see how this one ages. If Army goes 9-2 again, obviously it ages well. If they go 2-9, that's a different story. I do think Army lost quite a bit from last year's squad. At the same time, though, the biggest question mark with Tarleton State's coming into this year is were they going to get better in the trenches? And when you face a team like Army who runs, a run heavy offense, I thought Tarleton held up really well, in the trenches there. And for a little bit, it looked like this game was going to be how we typically see it. The FCS team holds tough for a little bit, and then the FBS team pulls away. It looked like Army was going to do that. They were up by a couple of scores, but then Tarleton State came back, made it a game, went into two overtimes, and then Tarleton wins it on a game winner. So really impressive for that squad, who's obviously rising rapidly on the national ranks.
What do you think? Are they a title contender this year? Do they got a shot at it?
I don't. Well, we'll see. I would hold off. If you ask me right now, which you just did, I would say probably not. But again, if you ask me again in 6 weeks and they're undefeated, I would go, maybe so. Because if they win out, which they could potentially, they're probably a 2 seed. And then if Montana State has to go there instead of Tarleton going to Bozeman, maybe it's a different result, in the semifinals. And so right now, I would hold off on it. I still think it's NDSU, probably Montana State, probably South Dakota State, and then after that South Dakota, and then after that maybe it's Tarleton. But we'll see it as the season progresses.
Are we going to see any shakeups in the FCS poll this week? I know we're a couple games into the season. What do you think when you look at the poll that's going to come out here pretty soon?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what voters do with, Tarleton. How high do you move them up? They were preseason number 10. What do they do with Montana State and South Dakota after those blowout losses to FBS opponents? It was not a good weekend for the SoCon. Western Carolina got upset, one of the ranked teams out of the SoCon by Gardner-Webb. And then Mercer lost to Presbyterian, who's non-scholarship. Mercer was ranked. I expect them to be out of the rankings, as well. So I think you'll see some movement. UND should move up a decent amount. I think Southern Utah should move up a decent amount. Same with Austin Peay. So there'll definitely be some movement, as there should be with the first in-season ballot. I think you can move teams up and down quite a bit based off of week 1 results.
Before we get into your week 2 spotlight games, I want to ask you about Tennessee State. That's who North Dakota State has on the docket this upcoming weekend. It's in Nashville. It's at Nissan Stadium. This is a Tennessee State team that's completely different look than what we saw last year. New players in the roster, new coaching staff. What can we expect when we go down to Nashville and see Tennessee State this week?
Yeah, I expect somewhat of a similar game as the Citadel. I think NDSU should win pretty handedly. It'll be interesting to see what type of crowd is on hand there as well. I mean, Tennessee State has a pretty engaged fan base and passionate fan base, but I don't know if NDSU fans really wanted to, maybe they can, outnumber the Tennessee State fans. I don't know if that's possible or not, but be interesting to see the crowd there. Yeah, Tennessee State, it's kind of unfortunate, but the reality of being mid-majors, you rise up, but then the head coach leaves, and then a lot of players leave. And so I think a lot of the momentum for Tennessee State was zapped with that, but they did get a week 1 win. It was over North Carolina A&T, who's really been struggling since they went to the CAA. But a 1-0 team, but I don't really expect Tennessee State to be a factor when it comes to like the playoff discussion and those sort of things.
Right. I'll be really curious to see, too, about the attendance for North Dakota State fans. We'll touch on that more when Jeff Kolpack comes in just a couple of minutes. Before we let you go, week 2 spotlight games. What should we have marked down on our calendars for this upcoming weekend?
Yeah, the spotlight game, South Dakota State going to Montana State. We'll see where the rankings are, but I expect a top 3, top 4 matchup here. So a great non-conference game. I'll be out in Bozeman for that one. Nice. So I'm excited about that. It's the Gold Rush game for Montana State, which I hear is just an electric crowd, which it usually is for Montana State. SFA goes to Abilene Christian. That should probably be a ranked matchup as well. Southland versus UAC. Abilene Christian made the playoffs last year, of course. I think SFA is going to be in that mix as well. Rhode Island goes to Stony Brook. I think that's a very interesting CAA clash. Stony Brook was right on the playoff bubble last year. Rhode Island made the playoffs last year. I think they were the favorite in the CAA this year, but this is a really good road test for Rhodey, who needed to come back this last weekend to beat Campbell. And then the last one is Chattanooga at Tennessee Tech. Tennessee Tech, I mean, this is a future SoCon matchup, but right now it's SoCon versus OVC Big South. I think Tennessee Tech is poised for a breakthrough season and make the playoffs. But this is a big game for the SoCon in Chattanooga because, like I said, this last weekend was not a good weekend for the SoCon. If they can get back on track and have Chattanooga beat a ranked team like Tennessee Tech on the road, that would be huge for the SoCon. So that's probably my fourth one there as far as top games of this weekend.
All right, those are some games to watch for this weekend. Sam, I appreciate you coming on this Labor Day. Enjoy the rest of your day. Get some relax and rest for this upcoming weekend, and we'll see you next Monday.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
All right, Sam Herder from Hero Sports and BetMGM joining us as he does each and every Monday morning to recap a busy week of FCS football. He's exactly right. I'll be really curious about this Tennessee State game coming up at Nissan Stadium. How many Bison fans are going to be there? What are we going to see from Tennessee State? I do agree it might be a little similar to what we saw with the Citadel. Last year, it did not go well for Tennessee State in the Fargo Dome. If I remember correctly, 52-3 was the final score. Different team. They had some really explosive plays, which we'll touch on more with Jeff Kolpack in a couple of minutes, but I think we're looking at a very similar game to what we saw this last weekend. That being said, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll put a bow on hour number 1, and then Jeff will join us to start hour number 2. Brent Miller joins us at 10:30 as well from Fargo North Football. That's coming up on Hot Mic. First hour of this Monday morning edition of Hot Mic is in the books. We'll take another break. When we come back, Jeff Kolpack will join us. We'll chat North Dakota State football and their big weekend. Also look ahead to Tennessee State. That's coming up next on Hot Mic.
This is Hot Mic. Hot Mic on the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo. It's that time. An author.
Offensive production, number 1. Number 2. I forgot.
Golfer.
It'd be like going on a 3-person best shot, and we were saying, Kolpack, you got to make a 25-footer every time. You wouldn't putt first. I'd have Tim putt first.
And one heck of a TV personality.
This game is for the Cooper Cup.
It's the Forum's Jeff Kolpack.
4! I should have yelled 2.
All right, here he is on this Monday morning. Jeff Kolpack joins us after a long and fun and busy week in Charleston, South Carolina. I got to ask you, did you get your work off the jet lag yesterday from the long flight to and from?
Been around the block, Sam.
Yeah,
I can handle,
you're used to it now?
They could play in China, and I'd come back and be ready for you on this show.
I appreciate it. I know we talked about it on game day, your thoughts on the campus and the town. I didn't get to see very much of it. I want to do more of that in Nashville when we're there because I've never been there. What'd you think of the place? It was a really cool area.
Yeah, on Friday, Alyssa, the foreign photographer, and I walked around campus and just want to do this story on what it was like as a student and what the atmosphere is like and the overall flavor of it, if you will. Very different.
Yeah,
never been on a school like that. Never been to a military school like that. The freshmen, who are called the Knobs, which is part of my story, it's their almost initiation period from now until March when they get maturation day, and then they're more of a regular student, I guess, if you will. But they walk very rigid, very fast, very focused, no smiling, no levity. It's you're squaring off every corner.
Right.
They get yelled at. They get this and that. And then you see the students who are older than freshmen, you could tell a difference right away. You could easily say, okay, there's a knob. Oh, there's a junior or there's a senior.
Okay.
Juniors, seniors are relaxed and regular students. But like I said, wrote in my story, nobody cuts corners. Nobody jaywalking. Like I told you on the pregame show, where you we walk around.
We'll slunch a little bit. Yeah.
They are just like the Blue Angels pilots when I got to be part of that. They walk perfect. They're very respectful. They talk. They look in the eye. All those things that is America, if you will. And the buildings are just exquisite. The White Castle. Every building's got that White Castle look. And again, like I wrote in my column, I think White Castle Hamburgers owes them a big apology for stealing their architecture for greasy food and just
putting a bad name on the Citadel campus.
Yeah.
Well, we saw the one in the end zone. That was the one I got a good look at.
Yeah, they all look like
athletic
that.
facility there. That looked pretty neat. It's funny that you mentioned them, the knobs, and how rigid they were walking around campus. And we'll touch on the game in a second. But once the cadets got up in the stands, it kind of felt like, okay, we can let loose a little bit and have a little fun. They provided a pretty cool environment down there.
Yeah, I was talking to this private on campus, William Weatherford from
what a name.
From South Carolina. And he was great, and he goes, see those guys over there? They're not happy. They're the knobs. They're not happy. And he goes, they won't be happy until March.
Wow. Did you get a sense? Did you talk to any of the knobs at all? Were you allowed to?
I don't think I was allowed to.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm curious.
I tried to stop one a little bit, and you could tell he wanted nothing to do with me.
Yeah, you got to keep your head on straight. All right, let's get to the important thing, the game itself. We were talking with Sam about it. We showed the highlights earlier. First quarter was a struggle for both teams. I'll call it on the rain. It was raining pretty good. I don't know if our cameras could really show just how intensely that rain was coming down in the first quarter. Once that went away, the Bison were rocking and rolling. They looked really impressive. What did you think of the game?
Exactly what everybody's been saying, that the rain had certainly effect on the passing game in the first quarter. Bryce Lance dropped a pass.
He did.
I was like,
that was my exact reaction on the sideline as well. It's like you don't see that
I didn't
very
think
often.
that was possible.
Yeah.
Cole Payton, I thought, was real solid.
Mm-hmm.
A great first game for him as his first start anyway. We knew he could run, but, man, a couple of those throws, and I think Sam alluded to, it was that cross the field throw to Chris Harris, I believe, on the sideline.
Yeah, I think so.
That you go, oh, okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. The pass to Reese Kessel, who, by the way, looked like a nice-looking tight end as a true freshman. That was a good throw. He had a couple of drops, like I said. He was 10 of 16 in reality. Should have been 12 of 16. Without the rain, I think Tim said on the coach's show last night, might have been better than that.
Right.
Might have thrown a little more. So very solid start. Let's just put it that way. I mean, it's a Citadel. They were winless 2 years ago.
Exactly.
I picked 33-6 in my score, and I thought after that I go, I don't even know if they're going to score, and they didn't.
Yeah, that goes into my next question I wanted to ask you, the Bison defense. And again, it's the Citadel. It's a different look offense that you don't see too often, but really the defense was
the defensive
point.
line they were dudes.
Yeah, they were.
But again, I just it's hard to make a comparison. It's so early,
Yes.
and I don't know how good the Citadel offensive line is, but look at this. I mean, those guys, boom!
They were in the backfield.
They didn't have time to think. They were just, and they didn't have to really bring pressure much. I don't even know if they did at all, honestly. But
that's the fumble there.
That was game, set, match right there.
Yeah, that was to start the third quarter as well. And again, one of our questions was the defensive tackles unit. Obviously, you got the three guys who've played a lot.
Wow.
Dutenheffer was fantastic. Keenan Wilson was in there a lot. Logan Larson. But then you get to some of the other guys down the depth chart a little bit, and they look good too. I think that.
No, they looked okay.
Yeah.
Citadel really got some yards going against some of the
later in the
second or third.
game. Yeah. So I'll be curious to see how that moves forward. Elijah Wayne did get his first career sack. You mentioned Reese Kessel, and that kind of leads me into one of my my next question here. The new guys that came in, they looked pretty good. Who impressed you out of game one that was making their first game?
Well, Reese Kessel, I know it's just one play, but you saw that play and you went, oh, okay, he's got some length. He's got some speed. Looks like his feet move pretty well. He went after the ball, grabbed a long throw. I just thought that one play stood out to me. Elijah Wayne's sack stood out to me. This is what LeGrand showing some speed.
He was a guy that I was impressed with. I wasn't really expecting to see much of Cortez LeGrand in this game, but he had 5 carries, 22 yards.
There's a throw to Kessel right there.
Yeah, that was.
Did you see him go up and get it? That was Noah Gindorf-like.
Exactly.
That's what those guys do.
Well, and Tim mentioned it in the post game to you that the route was a thing of art to get there, and now we're probably going to see Reese Kessel a little bit more in the coming month. Because Finn Dickens may be out for a little bit.
And I guess I don't know how well Reese Kessel blocks. You got to certainly block at that position. I thought the running game, the running backs, DJ Scott right there, he looked all the part. I know the Bison lost Marty Brown, who obviously, by the way, had a good game last night. I don't think the running back position has really dropped all that much.
No.
I thought DJ Scott looked pretty good. Barika Penu looked really good and ran hard. They both ran hard, and that's what you look for in a West Coast offense. And that's what Tim Paulsik looks for. Do you make the first guy miss, or can you get yards after contact?
And that's what they were doing, no doubt about that. And some of the younger guys in the running back room, we saw Miles Mitchell a little bit. You kind of saw he was a freshman in there. I'm sure he'll grow as the season goes on. To go back on Cortez LeGrand, that was a guy who could get a burst of speed and go. When he had that 18-yard run in the second half, everybody on the bench was kind of like, wow, this guy's got some speed to him.
I still need to see him if he can break a tackle or
exactly.
two. So there's
I would agree.
The jury's still out.
Young guys on defense as well. Ray James looked good. Mentioned Elijah Wayne, and Coach Polisic mentioned his pad level maybe a little bit high at the end of the game. But again, playing in his first college game was pretty impressive. What were the impressions on the offensive line during the game?
Too many false starts.
Yes.
That's not a good thing, and they got to clean that up because it didn't hurt you against the Citadel, but it could hurt you down in Brookings. It could hurt you up in Grand Forks. Still plenty of time to take care of that, but you got to take care of that.
Right. Got some new combinations in there as well. Tosted was moving around a little bit. I think we saw Empey a tackle at one point, and again,
I think it was fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm no great offensive line mind.
We're going to see 2 more games to kind of figure out a solid stretch.
But I'm with Sam. I don't know if you'll truly figure out this team in the non-conference.
I don't think so.
Just based on the opponents. But good teams don't let bad teams hang around.
Right.
Good teams bury you. So in the third quarter, the Bison buried them. So that was a good sign. I see that time and time again where you just don't let those teams hang around. So Tennessee State, probably the same thing. If you let them hang around, then you have to have some questions. Or in 2 weeks, Southeast Missouri State, if you let the Red Hawks with the lower H, by the way.
Okay. I'll make sure I don't spell that
Fargo-Moorhead Red Hawks, upper H.
Yep. Okay. I'll make sure I get that correctly on my my graphics coming up.
You can't let these teams, the number 1 ranked teams in the country, don't let teams like this hang around.
Yes. I want to ask you one more before we go to break here. Cole Payton, obviously, we saw his running ability. You alluded to it. We knew Cam, he could get out and scramble when a play wasn't there, and he could do it very well. Cole did it very well, did a great job of doing that, too. We'll see the leap here in a little bit. Everybody on the sideline when it happened kind of lost their mind. And then, of course, Coach Polisic, totally get it. Probably don't want to see that from your number 1 guy moving forward because he is your number 1 guy. We don't want to see any injuries, but it sure did look cool. Looked like an athlete.
Was that catch by Raja? Was that a top 10? It was not.
Oh, my goodness.
It should have been in the top 10. That was tremendous.
I didn't see SportsCenter, so I don't think I didn't see anything that says it
Probably
was on
wasn't.
there.
I would have heard about it by now.
I was right in the corner of the end zone, and a diving over-the-shoulder catch like that, unreal. And
degree of difficulty, 9.8.
Absolutely. And the fact that Cole put it right in the breadbasket was impressive as well.
I talked with the Citadel safety, a guy named Cale Williams, after the game, and I asked him about Cole Payton. I go, what'd you think of number 9? And his throwing game, he goes, well, yeah, he could throw. He could throw the ball pretty well. But, man, that guy's a big dude. He goes, he could use his feet, and he could run. And I don't think they see that in the Southern Conference very often. A guy 6'3", 235 that can run like that.
Yeah, can also.
And he may not be hurdling when a team is up 31-0 in the near future.
Probably not the smartest time to do that.
It was an impressive play, though.
It was impressive. It sure did look cool.
I thought he scored too, didn't he? Look good?
He rolled into the end zone, but man, it was pretty close, and it set up DJ Scott's first career touchdown. It looked cool. Probably not the spot to do it in a 24-0 game, but it showed he's an athlete. And if anybody still had any questions on his arm, I think that's
I think
officially
they were,
retired.
After one game, not totally answered, but I think is trending in the right direction.
Absolutely. All right, let's take a break. Jeff Kolpack joining us on this Monday morning. When we come back, the FCS poll is out. We'll also look ahead to Tennessee State. Oh, boy, it's that time of year. Jeff Kolpack sticks with us here on this Monday morning. Back on this Monday morning edition of Hot Mic, WDAY Extra, KSFL TV in Sioux Falls, KNBN in Rapid City. Also streaming on Inform.com. Brent Miller joining us from Fargo North Football at the bottom of the hour. Jeff Kolpack with us now. The FCS poll is out after the first couple of weeks of football here. You and I were just looking at it during the commercial break. Eric, if you want to pull it up on the screen here. North Dakota State, obviously, at the top after their win. South Dakota State moves up to 2. Montana State moves down to 3 after their loss to Oregon, and then you got South Dakota. That's the top 4. Really nothing surprising there by any means.
Yeah, this poll. Come on. South Dakota. UND should have won at Kansas State.
Yes.
And it's 20th. South Dakota just gets obliterated and remains at number 4. There's too many voters. I mean, I know Craig on this poll has reduced the number of voters.
Yeah.
I think it should be reduced even more.
Okay.
The people who just really know what's going on.
Right.
And just because a team was number 4 and they lose 94-0 or whatever it was,
55-7, but that's essentially the same. Yeah,
you just don't keep them at number 4.
Yeah,
sorry, it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, it wasn't the greatest look in Montana State falling to Oregon. They dropped down a spot. Tarleton State, Sam Herder's team of the week.
Very impressive.
Yeah, they move up 5 spots.
They should have been 2. They beat Army.
I mean,
they're 2-0.
That's what I'm thinking. I think they should be a little higher. They looked like an impressive team. 42-0 win in the first week, and then an FBS win against a very good Army team. It's pretty solid.
You could make the case where if everybody starts at ground zero at the poll, they should be number 1. Mm-hmm. They have an FBS win over a team that was 10-2 last year, or 9-3, or something like that.
Yep.
And you shut out Portland State. You're 2-0. That to me is a number 1 ranking.
Right.
I mean, just because
I get what you're saying. I totally get that. Yeah. And I agree with you. They've looked really impressive to start. Going down the list here a little bit more, Lehigh, they move up after their win against Richmond. UIW drops down 7 spots. Southern Illinois, they beat a Division II team, and they jumped 6 spots.
After beating Thomas More, which has been Division II for 2 years.
I thought that was an interesting schedule, a scheduling choice. Obviously, got to schedule somebody, but they move up 6 spots after that win, which is that's a little ridiculous in my mind. I'll get down here. There's North Dakota at number 20.
Yeah, top 10 team for sure.
I agree. So I was asking Sam about this. What are your thoughts on UND? That's our poll question today. What are your thoughts on UND moving forward?
Very impressed.
Yeah,
very impressed. Obviously, they picked the right starting quarterback. I thought Kaminsky was pretty. The time I saw it on a layover on the way back. I mean,
right.
So you take what you can get as with glimpses, and so I just thought it was a very, Chris Kleiman. It's got some things to address this week too.
I was going to say it seems to be
I think this is going to be
time for Kansas
tough
State
week,
right now.
Tough week of practice. If I were him, I don't know if he has his team's attention as coaches, because obviously they're missing assignments left and right.
Right. I'll give him a slight benefit of the doubt, going from Dublin and then back.
To these guys, come on, these guys are 21 years old.
You think they're spruced up for that? They're ready to go for that? That's tough. It's a lot of playing time. Poll question is up on Twitter right now. Thoughts on UND?
What is it?
The thoughts on UND.
Yeah. What are the results?
Season? I'll pull it up. I'll put not sure yet, because that's kind of
okay.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Eric, let's get the results here. We got about 100 votes here, and it looks like it's pretty evenly split. We got UND title contender 17%, just one good game 28%, a little higher than I thought. Not sure yet, 23% will finish above 500. That's got the most votes, which I think is very fair.
I'm going to go somewhere between just one good game and title contender. Are you talking about Valley title contender? That's what we're talking about? Or?
Yeah, I'll say that.
Yeah.
They said national title contender at Media Day. So
I'm not ready to go there yet.
It's Overreaction Monday.
Yeah.
You can if you want.
No, I'm not ready to go there yet, but I'm, again, like Cole Payton's performance, I'm trending that way. I mean, that's an awfully good performance against Kansas State.
Absolutely. So they got Portland State, who, as we mentioned, lost to Tarleton State pretty bad at the beginning of the season.
Portland State, what a dog. I saw the game last week, and their stadium, They have soccer lines on their football field.
Yeah, it's one of those.
That's real Division I look, isn't it?
Right. It's a tough look to be
and it looked
at
like
that level.
some high school field on the outskirts of Portland, which I think it is, honestly.
Well, luckily this game's at the Alaris Center, so they won't have to worry about that. But I agree with you, and I think we'll learn more about UND that third week against Montana, in Montana. I think that's when we get a
just
full
like
glimpse.
we're going to learn South Dakota State and Montana State this week is the game of the week.
Right, exactly. That game in Montana as well. That should be pretty interesting to watch. Okay, we got the trip to Nashville coming up this week. Tennessee State, they were here last year at the Fargo Dome, got beat down pretty bad, 52-3. But now it's a new coach, new quarterback, new running backs, new receivers, new defense, you name it. It's all brand new. They edged out North Carolina
they had some
A&T.
explosive plays.
Yeah, they had 4 touchdowns, 40 yards, and more. So there's a team that's got big playability. What do you think we see out of Tennessee State this week?
Well, they're going to need big playability against the Bison. I think this game, though, Sam, is all about the party. It's all about Nashville. It's all about hanging around whatever the street is in Nashville. I've never been there. So this is all about the fan base, which is why they scheduled it. When UND hockey was there a few years ago, it was a total Nashville takeover. I would expect something similar to that this with the NDSU fans. But it got some speed. I don't know if A&T is that fast, but that was impressive little burst there.
Yeah,
and he hits the home run. Oh, nice.
Well, the running back, Kendrick Grimes, we'll touch about it on the video blog here. I believe he had 174 yards on the ground, and obviously a couple of big touchdowns there. So that's a guy the Bison defense will have to keep a lookout for. The party aspect that you're talking about, we were kind of talking off air, speculating numbers a little bit. There was quite the crowd at the Citadel. I mean, for the Citadel game. I think there's going to be way more at Nissan Stadium come Saturday.
Oh, no question. And what we're hearing maybe 10,000?
Something like that. That's what we've been hearing the rumblings for. I mean, that's essentially a Bison home game at that point. Eric, what were you telling me for the North Carolina A&T game? They had 8,800 total. So if
that's actually better than I thought. That's pretty good.
Game.
Yeah, it's better than I thought. It looked decently packed, a lower bowl at Nissan Stadium for a Tennessee State game, but you bring 10,000 NDSU fans into that, good luck. That's going to be quite the sea of green and yellow.
Yeah, I thought they would. I mean, it seems like I've seen some games of Tennessee State at Nissan Stadium. Mm-hmm. It looks like 30 people. The stadium's so big.
Right.
You know,
exactly. That's kind of one of the downfalls.
But it might be a decent environment with, if you can get 15,000, 18,000, that might help.
Have you been to Nashville before?
No. I've just been to the airport.
I want to make sure on this trip to get out and kind of look around a little bit. Eric says he's been there. He's been there a couple of times. Pretty cool place. I'll be looking forward to seeing what that's like. But no, it should be a fun game. NDSU taking on Tennessee State. We'll have Bison game day. The game will not be on WDAY. We'll have Bison post game live as well. One more before I let you go. This non-conference stretch here, do you feel like NDSU, it's kind of a slow trend forward until we get to the conference stretch, and then that's when we'll really get to see what NDSU is made out of?
I wouldn't say slow trend. I think it's a trend forward. It's getting some young players, some experience was a big deal against the Citadel. I don't know if everybody played, but pretty close, I would imagine.
Yeah, there's quite a few.
We'll see if some true freshmen can really cement their status, whether they're going to play the rest of the season or not. Obviously, I think Elijah Wayne is going to be one of those guys that will do that. Obviously, Money Mitchell will probably be one of those guys. Who am I missing? Anyway,
there's quite a few. The list goes on from there. Ryan Babbitt's one of them on the offensive line. He did not play.
So they're probably thinking about that. He's one guy that is physically ready to go on the offensive line, which is rare for a true freshman.
Right. Tennessee State should be a potentially tougher test than the Citadel.
It seems like it with that speed.
Absolutely.
Citadel didn't have that speed.
Absolutely. And then I guess we don't really know what to think about SEMO yet, and then we get into the bye, and then we get into USD. So it's 2 games, and that's what I mean by slow trend, that expected to be some blowouts here over the next couple of weeks.
All right, producer guy has a question.
Eric's got a question for Jeff.
So going back to the poll question, or the poll, like the FCS poll, how is Mercer still ranked when they lost to D2
Good
Presbyterian?
Question. Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
You lost at home.
They were 11th, and now they're down to 23. Sam said he didn't think they were going to be ranked.
They shouldn't.
Yeah.
You lost a Presbyterian, for God's sakes.
Well, and now you got the no contest at the beginning of the season, and now this loss to Presbyterian. They got to turn it around quick.
The Bears are in a hole. They're in a hole for, you're talking playoff time already. Just turned to September, and the Bears are already in a hole looking at the playoff field.
That's a bad sign.
And how is Nichols behind UIW when they beat UIW?
It's the poll, as I said. If I were Craig, I would go 10 voters or something like that.
How many is it at right now?
I don't know, 50?
Something.
25?
I think it's 50.
50?
Okay, so that is
It
quite
used
a
to be
few.
like 700, and that was really a
then you get
clown show.
Yeah, then you get some biased polls in there.
Yeah, but I would pare it down to 10, 20, even more.
Yeah.
Just
it's fair. Then we see some of these changes that dissipate a little bit here, because I agree with you. Tarleton State has a good argument to be up there higher. North Dakota definitely has an argument to be up there higher. Mercer probably should be on
ahead
there.
of South Dakota. I mean, God.
So you're taking stock in that first game, South Dakota and Iowa State.
A little bit. You shouldn't get blown out that bad.
Yeah. Everybody kind of thought it would be a closer game. It didn't look great. We'll see how USD does the rest of the way.
Do we need these polls before week 3?
That's a good question too. Yeah. Do you have to vote after week 1? Maybe wait 2-3 weeks?
Right.
Because in this age of transfer portal, everybody's so new.
Yeah, it's a brand new team up and down the board, and that goes back to Tennessee State as well. It's
just watching even Miami Notre Dame, the Miami roster. Yeah, transfer from here, transfer from there, transfer from there. He transferred from there. He transferred from there.
It really was. Marty again had a really good game last night, but it seemed like every time Miami had someone touch the ball, it is a brand new kid on the team over here. So it's brand new every week.
Thank God our pregame show doesn't subscribe to the transfer portal, because I feel like you and I would be in trouble.
It would be.
Yeah.
It'd be an interesting show, no doubt about
Kyle
that.
and Dom, they're the staple of the team. You and I, we could be replaced.
Yeah, we would get
we're bringing in Jimmy Shimtree from Omaha. He's better on his feet than Sam and Jeff.
That's facts. All right, Jeff. Well, we got Bison Game Day coming up this week. That's probably the next time I'll see you is in Nashville, huh?
Well, let's go. It's going to be fun. I mean, it's going to be fun. For the fan base especially, I think it's going to be, something to a Frisco. It won't be total Frisco, but it'll be certainly a
absolutely over under 20,000 quickly. Again, before
of Bison fans or the game.
The game.
Under?
Yes, I would agree with that. I'd go closer to 15, 16, somewhere in there.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah. All right, Jeff, appreciate it. We'll see you on the Bison Video blog, and we'll see you in Nashville. Jeff Kolpack from the Forum joining us here on this Monday morning. We'll step aside. When we come back, we're talking high school football. Brent Miller from Fargo North will join us after their Week 1 win against Mandan. Back on this Monday morning. Hot Mic continues on. Just about a half hour left. Big thank you to Sam Herder and Jeff Kolpack for helping break down everything that happened in the world of FCS football over the weekend. Let's turn our attention over to some high school football in the state of North Dakota. Of course, that is in full swing now. Minnesota in full swing as well. We had our crews out and about getting all the action. First Down Friday was great on Friday as well. Happy to see everybody back in action. It was really cool to catch up on some scores while we were down there in Charleston, South Carolina. A team that showed a great improvement from a year ago was Fargo North, who coming out of Week 1 with a win, 34-22 win over the Mandan Braves, and that's where we welcome in their head coach, Brent Miller, who joins us on this Labor Day. Brent, thanks for taking some time and coming on. Congratulations on the win. How does it feel to be off and running this season?
Obviously, every time you feel a win coming that way, it makes the weekend go a lot better. So, but it feels good. We've had some adversity right away. We had some illness go through the team in August and things like that. So it felt good to get onto the field on Week 1.
Tell us about that first game against Mandan. It was on your home soil. Last year was a little bit of a struggle, which we'll touch on more in just a little bit. Tell me about that first game. What was working so well for you guys?
Well, we got to give a lot of credit to our offensive and defensive line. That's where our heart and soul is of our team. Fantastic kids up there. They own it. They work hard. They're great as far as being leaders. They accept coaching. They've got great coaches that get them there. and we really executed well up there as compared to how we felt we were earlier in the year in the scrimmages and camps and things like that. And our kids really shine. And then we put a lot on our shoulders of our quarterback and made some really good decisions and had a great game in Kellen Doherty.
Bring us into the locker room after the game. What was that reaction like from these guys who have taken their licks last season and now after this year on a hot start? What was that reaction like after the game?
In my email home, I said it was fantastic energy and enthusiasm. We challenged the guys at the start of the week to really pick that up. We have a lot of new starters on offense and defense, a lot of seniors, a lot of guys who've been there, but just haven't been in that role yet. And they really shined. They really got out there and led the crowd. Crowd fed right back into them. It was a great spot to play, and our home field is, in my opinion, one of the best ones in the state. Our fans are right on top of us. It makes the enthusiasm, the energy really just come alive.
For those that haven't followed Fargo North over the last couple of years, of course, you had that fantastic season in 2023, won the Dakota Bowl, going undefeated, great senior class that year, then bump up a classification. Things didn't go too great, one win. I know we don't like to dwell on the past, but last season, how much was that a learning experience for some of the guys that are still around?
Yeah, I mean, it was a whole new set of opponents. The only common one we had was West Fargo, which was a non-conference game for us in 23. On top of that, you graduate a phenomenal senior class that I think we sent 9 kids to go play college athletics out of that senior class, including NDSU's Peter Haugo, my son Jim, who's at Valley, Max Watson and Joe Rose that are over at Moorhead State. So guys that are doing local things. Plus, we sent a kid to go play at MIT, right? So we had some smart kids too who did that, and kids playing at Concordia, kids all over the place. And so you can't replicate that, just one year to the next. And then on top of it, right now the class of team in North Dakota, I think, is at its best ever. You've got some of the greatest coaches, I think, coaching right now. We get to play one this next week, and Mark Gibson and him and Colby have been doing a fantastic job there for decades, literally decades. On top of the fact that, in the East, we've got great coaches like Wayne and Jay and Jeremy and Troy and everybody that is in there. And Harvey's really doing a good job down there getting things going. And so the class of football in North Dakota, there's no easy games, no matter what class you're in. And so going just back to how we went from last year to this year, we really pushed kids to buy in and believe. They did a fantastic job in our off-season program, and I think that showed on the field.
I got to ask you about your quarterback, because he's one of those guys who looked like he put some time in the weight room in the offseason, has made a big bump. That's Kellen Doherty. He had 4 combined touchdowns in week 1. My first question is this. Where did he get his running ability? It must have been from his mom, because he did not get it from his dad, Chris.
I think it's from Grandpa Leo. And I think Doe would tell you the same thing. So, he does not. When you put him right next to Chris and Jamie, he doesn't. He's like, who's the adopted kid here? But and Chris would laugh about that too. But Kellen is one of those kids who's always kind of grown, and then he looks like a baby deer, with brand new limbs and things like that. And then he'll fill in, and he's kind of done that 2 or 3 times throughout his career here with us and his off season. Stuff. This is a 3-sport kid and a 3-sport captain too on top of it, and so he doesn't have an off season, so he really puts in the time and work. Obviously his dad is a freshman coach for us, so he's a coach's kid on top of it. They raised him right, and he's a no excuses kind of kid.
How much has his confidence grown from last season, getting his licks in last year? I believe as a junior, and now this year as a senior. How much have you seen him grow in the confidence level?
I think he's always been a confident kid for us. He always wants to do his best, and I think what's the best attribute to Kellen is he wants the best from the kids around him, and he has no problems challenging those kids that need to be challenged and loving up the kids who need to be loved up. And he's a true leader. He does a great job with those things on and off the field. And I got to give obviously he's got great parents, dear friends of mine, and so. They've done a great job with him.
Yeah, we're all too familiar with Chris over here. Helps us out with some of our hockey coverage on WDAY. Also an assistant coach on the team over there at Fargo North. Outside of Kellen, you got one game under your belt. You've seen this team through fall camp. Who should we be on the lookout this year? Who's standing out to you over the first couple of months of the season?
Like I said, our heart and soul is our offensive line. We've got fantastic kids there. Brody Fowler, Deshaun Taylor, Ben Gruchala, Finn Kelty, all those guys, Nico Orsorno, Parnell, Preston, all of those guys. Parnell's a tight end, defensive end for us. All those guys who kind of are playing big roles on both sides of the ball for us up front are fantastic. And then, if you watched any of our film, we look different on offense. So we're using multiple running backs and lots of fullbacks, and all those guys in that stable did exactly what we asked them to do. I think when we looked down our stat line, we had 6 different kids with carries, and that's what we want. On top of that, our receiving core, we added a new award this week called Hog Life, our Hog of the Week, and honorary Hog. And so our wide receivers and our backs are bought into being physical too. So that's what we asked those kids, and we've got great kids all the way around.
That's awesome. You got Bismarck this week. You mentioned Coach Gibson. Bismarck is a team that seems like they've been, turning things around over the last couple of years. What do you see from them when you prepare for this game?
Yeah, well, we don't see the guys we had to play last year on the side there. Those boys, that was welcome to AAA football. Was that for us? I think their kid down blocked and put our 3 technique into the weak side, and then picked up a mic and put him on his butt and then blocked the safety at the same time, all in one play. So they don't have that kid anymore, but they've got quality kids up front, big guys, move well. Mark's been running the same playbook since I was in high school, but they know it well. They know it the inside out, the back of their hand. They've got their answers, and it's sound fundamental football. I feel like we're it looks like a challenge of his Blue Hawks and my Vikings, my VCSU Vikings. It's a rematch here this next week.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, no, he's got a good team. He's got talented, skilled guys too out there. We're going to have to do our best to kind of adapt and change and hope that we can just match that physicality and then make our plays.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun game. Fargo North taking on Bismarck this week. I see you got South back on the schedule as well. How exciting is that for this season?
I think that one's been circled on the schedule for about a year and a half now, so we're excited to have that one back. Obviously, you always want to play your crosstown rival. Tyler down there, Tyler Kozel does a fantastic job with those kids. There's another Viking for you right there. Yep. And so we're excited to match up those guys. Our kids nowadays, they know each other from Pee-wee football and Pee-wee hoops all the way through. So they want a chance to play against the guys that they've been playing against their whole time. And we're excited to get to host that game in our home field. And it's also our youth football night that night. So we get every kid on the north side that puts on a uniform, whether it's a flag football uniform or an FM athletics or a dynasty or 8th grade, 7th grade, all the way through. It's a tradition that we've done probably for about the last 10 years. And it's awesome to have, about 500 little kids out there of all ages excited to play football for the north side.
That's going to be an absolutely packed house. One more before I let you go. You mentioned his name once. I got to ask you about Peter Haugo. How closely are you guys watching him throughout his Bison career, and what do you think now that he's a mainstay at the linebacker position?
Peter's always been a fantastic kid. Ever since we known Peter for a long time. Obviously, my son Jim and Peter are the same age, so been on teams all the way through middle school and things like that. I think our coaches were golfing with him this summer. Nice. Peter's a fantastic kid, really kind of salt of the earth kind of people. His parents have done a fantastic job too, raising some fantastic kids. And Peter's, being the oldest, he's the typical oldest, right? He does things right. He does things the way you want them done as a coach and as a parent. And I'm excited. I think it was just a matter of time. I mean, we saw his athleticism shine for us, and then you get to the point of where you add in his competitive nature, and he's gonna find a way to get on the field and excel.
Absolutely, it's going to be fun to watch him throughout his Bison career. Going to be fun to watch Fargo North as well go throughout the season. Brent, I appreciate you for coming on. Best of luck this week. It should be a fun one against Bismarck.
Yeah, thanks, Sam.
Brent Miller, head coach of Fargo North football, joining us here on this Labor Day. They are now 1-0 after their win against Mandan. They matched their win total from a season ago, put up 34 points. They didn't come close to that mark last season, but Kellen Doherty and the offense did a good job of putting some points up on the board. Going to be fun to see Fargo North. Again, they got Bismarck in Bismarck this week, and then they're back on the 12th. Home game against Fargo South. North Fargo is going to be rocking on September 12th. That is going to be quite the environment. And again, the kids will be out there as well. That's going to be a game to circle. If you're looking for something to do on September 12th, Bison play the next day. Head on over to Fargo North. Watch some good football over there. That should be a lot of fun. All right, that'll wrap things up here with Brent Miller on this Monday morning. We'll step aside. When we come back, we will wrap things up on this Monday morning. Also, Eric reminding me that game is going to be one of our games of the week, WDAY Extra, September 12th. So if you're not able to make it, you can watch it. Should be a good one there. We'll get you ready for that once that time comes later on in the month. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we wrap things up on this Monday morning next. Couple of more minutes left to go on this Monday morning, Labor Day, starting a new month, first day of September in the year 2025. Big thank you to Sam Herter, Jeff Kolpack, and to Brent Miller for joining us on this Monday morning. Dom will be back tomorrow to get us ready for the rest of the week. Mike McFeely will join us as well. We'll get ready for Tennessee State coming up this weekend. Bison video blog coming out later on today as well. With myself and Jeff Kolpack, we'll chat more about the Tennessee State game and the trip to Nashville. Of course, as we've been talking about UND's big game against Kansas State over the weekend, nearly had the upset. A game that they probably thought, a lot of people thought they could have won, should have won. Had plenty of opportunities, but Kansas State with a good 2-minute drill at the end there, able to get the win. That leads us into our poll question today. We put it out on this Overreaction Monday. Thoughts on UND's performance against K-State over the weekend. Pretty good split across the board. UND, I put title contender. Jeff brought up the good point. Conference title contender or national title contender. In my mind, I made it national title contender because it is an Overreaction Monday. 17.5% of the vote there. Just one good game, 27%, which is fair to assess. There's questions now at Kansas State with Chris Kleiman and his squad. What's that going to be like moving forward? Not sure yet. That's where I kind of fall. I'm not quite sure what we think of UND football just yet. Got to see a couple of more games under the belt. Again, they got Portland State coming up this week at the Alara Center. And then the big one is going to be the 13th against Montana in Missoula. That will be a fun game, and I really think we'll get a better grasp of what this UND football team will be like moving forward. The majority of you said that the Fighting Hawks will finish above 500, and I do agree with that. I think they will. Sam mentioned it. Jeff mentioned it. There's a new buzz around this program, around campus for this program as well. I think UND football is going to be fairly solid. They'll be a playoff team, in my opinion. How good they're going to be, I guess that's something we'll find out as the year goes around. So we'll see about that. Again, the FCS Top 25 is out. North Dakota, after that good game, they went from not ranked to 20th in the country. It's a substantial jump. Personally, and Jeff agrees, it should have been a little higher. Other big moves in the poll this week. Mercer goes from 11 to 23. Tarleton State's up to 5. South Dakota State is up to 2. Montana State drops to 3. South Dakota, after getting walloped by Iowa State, stays at 4. Make your conclusions as you will. Montana State yet to play a game yet. They stick at number 6. UC Davis at number 8. Rhode Island number 9. Idaho at 10 after a good game against Washington State. With that being said, let's get into our what to watch and get out the door on this Monday morning. We got more college football on tonight. You see on the bottom of your screen there, TCU and North Carolina. It's the coaching debut for Bill Belichick. 7 o'clock start time for that on ESPN. I'll be tuned into that. I'm really curious to see what a Bill Belichick college football team looks like. I think we're going to get some answers tonight. So that should be a good game between the Horned Frogs out of Texas Christian University. We haven't talked about the Twins today, but they're in action. They got they beat the Padres yesterday, 7-2. Byron Buxton set a new career high in homers. He now has 29 this season. Joe Ryan had a great game as well, 7 innings. No runs, 8 strikeouts. Also, the Lynx are in action. Dallas is in town, 7 o'clock start time for that on NBA TV. Once again, big thanks to Sam Herder, Jeff Kolpack, and Brent Miller for joining us. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later on Inform.com. Dom's back tomorrow. Have a great Labor Day.